Topping the news here at 5:30, the first domino has fallen at One Bills Drive. The search for the Bills' next head coach underway after the Bills parted ways with Sean McDermott.
We are now joined by Andrew Brandt, former vice president of the Green Bay Packers and accomplished sports business expert. Andrew, thank you for joining us.
Happy to be with you.
All right, I want to start with Brandon Beane first.
Sure.
Brandon Beane was promoted today. So he was promoted to president of operations. He also has that GM job. What does that mean? I think that's a little bit confusing to people in the fan base. What are the differences, I guess, between those two jobs?
Yeah, I mean, this was clearly a choice by Bill's ownership to demote the coach, fire the coach and promote the GM. There was a siding, if you will, of one side over the other, a feeling that maybe personnel was fine with the team, but coaching was holding them back, and coaching had reached a pinnacle where they weren't getting any higher, I should say a plateau. But I think general manager is really picking the players, going through the draft, doing a personnel evaluation for both pro players and college players. President of football operations or president of operations is overseeing the role of general manager, the role of coach, the role of scouts, the role of equipment managers, the role of everyone supporting the football operation, which is a bigger job and probably means more delegation in the role of actually evaluating players, both pro and college.
Andrew, do you think the relationship between Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane has some kind of an impact on this decision by the Bills, number one? And then when it comes to this relationship with those two, do you think that the statement that the Pegulas released today sends a message to not only the current staff, but also the oncoming staff, the oncoming head coach?
Yeah, I think so. There's a standard now. And listen, this is around the league. This is number 10. 10 jobs open out of 32. That's 30% of the league. And it's really a feeling that these franchises are now worth an average of $7.7 billion. They're not going to waste time anymore. They're not going to sit and wait. They're not going to feel like we can't get there with this guy in any position. And it's really something this year where we've seen two coaches with 20 years tenure each, and now Sean being let go. There doesn't seem to be any patience, and they're going to do whatever it takes. Of course, Mr. Pegula is going to pay an outgoing staff, as you said, pay an incoming staff. Money is not the issue here. But really, like we're talking about, more responsibility to Beane as they try to get it right with a coach.
When they put him as the president of football operations, does that open up the opportunity for them to then take off that GM job and just put him as that president and bring in a new GM, or promote from within to that GM position, or say a head coach comes in and wants a certain GM? Is that what is opening up here?
Yeah, I think that creates a lot of things you're talking about. What is going to happen now is the question. Is there a traditional GM coming in whose background is being a scout? Is there a promotion from within that will sort of oversee scouting and the draft while Beane has a more 30,000-foot view? And what about the coach? The coach will have a reporting system that he is going to adhere to. So during the interview process, they're going to sit down and say, here's the situation. You report to Beane, or you report to whoever, but it's probably going to be Beane, and that is a clear demarcation of hierarchy. In other situations, the coach and the GM both report to ownership, and that's happening around the league. In this situation, it's not going to be equal. It's not going to be that way. So Beane is going to have clear control over the coach to hire him and then ultimately fire him.
Andrew, I'm sure you made some tough decisions as vice president there and with the Packers for a number of years. Sports Talk Radio, as expected, lit up like a Christmas tree today, given all the reaction from not only players, but of course fans. What is it like when you have to make a decision, something like this? It's almost like a no-win, right? You're going to upset half the people or maybe the other half. You have a coach in Sean McDermott that is very beloved by this fan base, and certainly you saw the reaction from the players too. His players love him as a leader. Can you kind of walk us through maybe some things that are going through Brandon Beane's mind, knowing how he's got to make a tough decision that is, quite frankly, not very popular?
Yeah, let me say this first. I'm a Sean guy myself. I've known him a long time. After the Packers, I consulted with the Philadelphia Eagles, got to know him when he was there. And just the way he handled his last public appearance, as everyone there knows, I was quite impressed. Talking about the officiating, but doing it in a calm, measured way and explaining why he wanted more time to review the play. There was no screaming, yelling, red-faced, spitting. It was none of that. And so in his last measure for the Buffalo Bills, I thought he was extremely poised. And I'll say that. On the other side of it, yes, I've been there. In my time at the Packers over 10 years, we did dismiss 2 coaches. Very hard. And you have to sort of put aside personal. In some ways, it's like releasing a top player where you have to put away your personal side and do what's right. I think the feeling is not being there is that they got to a certain point with Sean where it was like, we don't think we can get over this hump. And he becomes the fall guy for that.
Yeah, he becomes the fall guy. Is it all his fault, though? A lot of people in the fan base saying maybe not, because Josh Allen didn't have a lot of targets this season. So you kind of have to weigh
listen,
that.
if it's between those two, you know who's going to win that. You can't find superstar quarterbacks, period. I mean, there's a handful in the league, and certainly Josh is one of them. You can find coaches. So that's the situation. To me, the surprise is you've got a bifurcated role now where there's a departure between the GM and the coach that why we thought we're on the same page and the same plane. That has now changed.
Andrew, really appreciate your insight on a day like this. It is packed with all kinds of thoughts and reactions to this big news, and we certainly appreciate your thoughts this evening.
You got it, guys.
Thank you, Andrew.